It started with a simple family reunion. My grandmother's old house, tucked deep in the woods, had been abandoned for years. The family decided it was time to clear it out, and as the youngest, I was tasked with sorting through the attic. I didn't mind. I'd always been curious about the place, even though my parents had warned me to stay away from the upper floors when I was a kid. The attic was exactly what you'd expect, dusty, dimly lit, and filled with relics of a life long forgotten. Old furniture draped in yellowed sheets, boxes of yellowing photographs, and a faint, metallic smell that made the air feel heavy. But it was the old Polaroid camera that caught my attention. It sat on a rickety wooden table, its black body scuffed and worn, but oddly pristine in the way its lens gleamed under the faint light filtering through the cracked window. I picked it up, and it felt wrong. Cold, heavier than it should have been, like it was filled with something other than batteries and film. But curiosity got the better of me. I pressed the power button, and to my surprise, it whirred to life. A single photo ejected from the slot, blank and waiting to be exposed. I aimed the camera at the attic window, the overgrown trees outside framing the shot. The shutter clicked, and the photo slid out. I shook it gently, watching as the image slowly developed. The first photo was normal enough. The window, the trees, the faint outline of the attic's interior. But something felt off. The angle was slightly wrong, as if the photo had been taken from a few feet to the left of where I was standing. I brushed it off as a trick of the light and took another shot, this time aiming at the old rocking chair in the corner. The second photo made my blood run cold. The chair was there, just as it had been in real life, but now there was a figure sitting in it. A shadowy, indistinct shape, its head tilted slightly as if it were staring directly at the camera. My hands trembled as I flipped the photo over, half expecting to see some kind of explanation written on the back. Nothing. I told myself it was a double exposure, a trick of the old camera. But deep down, I knew better. The third photo sealed my fate. I aimed the camera at the attic door, the one I'd come through just minutes ago. The shutter clicked, and the photo slid out. I didn't want to look, but I couldn't help myself. The door was open, just as I'd left it. But standing in the doorway was the figure. Closer now, more defined. Its head was still tilted, but its posture was different, leaning forward as if it were stepping into the room. I dropped the camera and bolted for the stairs, my heart pounding in my chest. I didn't stop until I was outside, the crisp autumn air filling my lungs. I told myself I was being ridiculous, that it was just an old camera playing tricks on me. But when I reached into my pocket to pull out the photos, they were gone. That night, I stayed at a motel on the edge of town. I couldn't bring myself to go back to the house. But as I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, I heard it, a faint click like the sound of a camera shutter. I froze, my breath catching in my throat. The room was dark, but I could feel it. Something was there, just beyond the edge of my vision. I reached for the lamp on the nightstand, my fingers fumbling for the switch. The light flickered on, and I screamed. There on the wall opposite the bed was a Polaroid photo. It hadn't been there before. I didn't want to look, but I couldn't help myself. The photo showed the motel room, the bed, me lying there with the sheets pulled up to my chin. And standing beside the bed, its shadowy form leaning over me, was the figure. The camera shutter clicked again. This time, I didn't need to look to know what the photo would show. I wasn't alone, and I never would be again.